I
Hey
can't do
guys,
that.
Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. Tonight I am joined by a fellow Pennsylvanian. His name is Michael Doyle. He is in the Philly area, District 170. He is running for state rep, and he is a Bernie-crat. You guys know that's my favorite. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Michael. You were actually recommended to me by PA Our Revolution. So that's how I
Yes.
found out about you. So thank you so much for
Oh, cool.
joining us.
Thanks to Bob and the crew over there, PA Our Revolution. They're very big supporters, and I appreciate their support. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Something that, while looking at your platform and reading about you, something that really touched me was that you are in recovery and you are extremely open about it, and you are, I think that's so powerful. That's so amazing because especially in politics and in the media, so many times when people have, are in front of the camera, they do try to hide things, and understandably so if they're painful. But you are so outspoken about it, and that's pretty amazing. So do you want to kind of share your story?
Sure. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit of the abridged version. We could be here all night if I tell you the whole story. But what really got me involved and made me realize I could run was that all people really have the ability to change, and even people who have voted for Donald Trump, I believe. I kind of look at myself and my old self and see how I was and how I am now, and I realize that people can change if we work towards that. So I was always a Democrat. I always really leaned left, wore my heart on my sleeve, and but like to pontificate and solve the world's problems from the bar stool. And that was pretty much it. I mean, I did volunteer for Obama in 2008 and 2012. I actually had people from New York sleep at my house, and I did have some involvement in the political process, and I have worked some polls for people, but I wasn't really super active. And when I got sober in 2013, along with recovery comes a spiritual awakening. Okay, so most people that probably follow your show, we can say that we're woke. And I truly firmly believe that because of my spiritual awakening, and the fellowship I belong to doesn't really say of God or gods or anything, he, she, it, what you need to prescribe to. It's the higher power understanding. So when I really took hold of that and embraced that, it allowed me to see that I was responsible as a human being to give back to my community. And I did that. And my recovery, what is important is action. Okay. So I had to bring me to my recovery. And what happened was, when I saw what happened to Bernie Sanders, and I saw the fact that he got shammed, and he got, how the corporate Democratic machine, the neoliberal machine kind of just shafted him. I realized that I didn't do enough. I could have done more, and after that, I realized that I couldn't just sit and do this all day. That's not going to cut it. And soon after that, I was so moved by that, but that I went to Standing Rock, and that experience changed me completely as well. I talk about a spiritual experience. You learn about the Great Spirit, Wakantaka, and like, I mean, these are big, serious things out there that, you know, people, it's a real sort of life that you don't get on the East Coast. And it just opened my eyes to really how this country is so backwards, and that we have so much to do, and how money and politics and how money just rules everything we do. That's my journey in recovery now. Prior to that, I mean, I was an alcoholic, and for probably most of my adult life, and I became addicted to other substances, cocaine, and I had broken my ankle in February 2013, and you know, got on opiates. And when you're a raging alcoholic and you then start taking opiates, it wasn't soon after that I had a cocaine dealer say, "Well, you're buying at the end of the summer," and you know, it literally can happen to anybody. And I knew that, other than what we just talked about, getting into and seeing the bigger picture, I looked at what was happening in my community, and my community specifically, I mean, and the gentleman and rough and tumble is a part of, and they didn't care. They were like, just keep coming back, you know, and we'll help you. And you know, I had a bit of a stumble in the beginning, and they were just like, just keep coming back, kid, you know. And I realized that this community was so important, changing my life for the better. And what I saw around me, though, was a lot of people that were in recovery, but more people dying. In my ward alone in the Northeast, where I live in Philadelphia, there was 130.8% increase in overdose deaths last year. And what made me, like, I never had thought I would be able to run for office in my life because of my past. But what we also say in our fellowship is, we will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on. We learn so much from mistakes in our life, and we learn so much what not to do and how to correct that. You know, when someone like Donald Trump wins the presidency, I think that my life experiences are going to be much more applicable to the people in my community than that pig. You know, I mean, talk about somebody who's immoral and unmoral. So I realized that people could talk about my past. I'm completely open about it. And I think that when I get elected and somebody might be struggling with alcoholism and they don't know what to do, my door will always be open. You know, I don't know where they can go now. And I can certainly help anybody, whether they're addicted to methamphetamine or opiates or heroin, alcohol. I know how to recover. And that's what I wanted to do, is to give that hope back to my community.
That is so powerful and so amazing. You know, speaking of winning the general, can you share a little bit about the person you're running against? I mean, obviously you're different parties, but what are the biggest differences between?
Well, so there's a lot of big differences, obviously. You know, there's some moderate Republicans, they call themselves moderate, play some moderate things. So playing on moderate can. She has in every session of the legislature, when they're in session, introduced an anti-sanctuary city bill. When I was just, you know, a constituent and seeing that this person was representing me, you know, being raised Catholic, when I got into recovery, I went back to the church of my youth, which most people do. We don't know where to go, you know. I didn't know that there was a bigger spiritual world out there. And that's what's great about being in recovery. Your life just expands. Your spiritualism expands. But I went back to Catholicism, and I read things, and I saw what Pope Francis was doing and how he was more of like a socialist. And you know, Jesus is the original socialist. He is totally. And I really kind of like said, wow, this is like what they're teaching us. And a lot of people in my community aren't getting it. And specifically about embracing really the Christian thing to do. So when I saw that she was introducing this anti-sanctuary city legislation, I knew that that was a wrong, immoral thing in my heart. I felt that that was wrong to do to people. A lot of people in my district that support her go, well, there are these anti-immigration dog whistle things that they bring up all the time. But let's be human about things, and let's be spiritual about things, and let's welcome people in and help them. That's the whole purpose. That is the whole purpose of the United States of America. So that was one thing that we're a big difference. I'm a welcoming person. She wants to only and I also think that she was a big supporter of a recent fired police officer who had shot somebody in the back and who was recently found guilty of murder. And I kind of took the stance that, we need to really pursue this and see if he's guilty. And if, I think she's more of a law and order person. I think that, we do need to have law and order. Sure. I mean, we can't have people running riot within the streets of our neighborhoods, but, to kind of protect somebody who's a murderer, I thought that was not really, I think that's a big difference in our approach there as well. There are several other things to
clarify a few things in the comments, because I think I apologize, guys, because the audio is kind of choppy. But I think some of you guys are misconstruing the things that are being said. First off, he didn't work for Obama. He volunteered for him, and it's a shirt that's actually supporting Bernie 2020. Just to get that stuff out of the way. Yeah, show it off, dude. Show it off.
It was Obama we thought was a new hope. 2016, Empire Strikes Back, and then 2020, Return of the Jedi, which is Bernie.
Exactly. So people were kind of confused with, they thought you were like supporting Obama, you know what I mean? So I wanted to clarify that. Okay. Okay, that clarified that. I'm glad. So I have a question from Kevin. It says, would you support a national referendum on capping multi-generational wealth transfer from the super rich?
Yes, absolutely. It disgusts me that the wealthiest just keep getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. I mean, it's disgusting. Like in Philadelphia specifically, like the power is really controlled by the developers, the people who have the most money. And being in the real estate industry, I know how much money these developers make. I see what it says on a settlement statement, and it's insane. And they get what they want. We have the wealthiest people, the wealthiest 1% in the city of Philadelphia, will buy a brand new property. Most of the new construction in Philadelphia is $500,000 or more, right? So that's not affordable housing to anybody in the city. And they buy the new construction with a 10-year tax abatement. When the tax abatement comes up, if you're wealthy beyond means, what do you do in year 9? You sell the property and you buy a brand new property that has another 10-year tax abatement. So the wealthiest among us in the city. And if they can't sell the property, they just rent it out. And then now they have another pass-through, another write-off. So the wealthiest, do I believe that we should cap that? Absolutely. You know, we learn now about philanthropy and how, you know, it's faux philanthropy, a lot of it. There are so many different tax havens and tax benefits that only the wealthiest can take advantage of, that we need some super aggressive, progressive changes in the way the wealth is distributed in this country. Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, my buddy Mark, who's part of our team at RP, he it's so funny because he's like, Michael Doyle, I thought that was my rep here. And when I was researching you, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Why would they want him to come on my show?
It's really tough when you're running for office, when somebody with the same exact name, he has the same middle name, he's also a junior.
He has the same middle name too?
Yes, he's Michael Francis Doyle Jr.
No.
I did say to my wife, listen, when he retires, we should just move out there. My name recognition will be second to none. And then we could just put a progressive in the Congress. It'll be very easy.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Like, I had Sarah Smith on, and she was talking about running against a guy named Smith and how, like, weird it is, because it's like Smith versus Smith, which is just bizarre. So, you know, there's I've had them on my show before, but there's a few times. There's a group called March on Harrisburg, and
Yes.
they're amazing. I'm in Harrisburg area, so you guys may have seen some of you know, some of the streams I've done with them and the events and everything. But basically, they have marched from Philadelphia to Harrisburg to get money out of politics, to end gerrymandering and stuff, to bring attention to that. Then they also do, they marched from Lancaster to Harrisburg for the same thing. They've protested and countless times. And Michael told me he's actually been one of the one who's gotten arrested with them. So that's pretty badass, I gotta say. So well, you are actually a instead of just a candidate, you are also an activist.
Yes, I would much rather, in my life, I would much rather try to. I would like to. What I would like to be doing right now is to be helping with alcoholics that live on Indian reservations. Like, that's what my dream is. That's not what God wants me to do right now. He wants me to help the people in my community who are suffering from opiate abuse or substance use disorder. We don't like to say abuse anymore. Negative connotations. That being said, I got into action a lot, and I saw a friend of mine who was in New York City. And during the ACA repeal, they were down there doing a lot of action, and they were getting arrested. And I said, that's what I want to do. You know, I'm running for office currently, but I would much rather be on the front lines anywhere we need to have people on the front lines. I'd much rather be bird dogging senators or congresspeople. I'd much rather be fighting the fight with the loud voice and not having to worry about, you know, like, I like this show, obviously, because I can really kind of say whatever I want. But that action, like, again, we talked earlier about, like, doing this and sharing stuff isn't enough. You know, knocking doors, deep canvassing, talking to your neighbors, saying, well, why do you feel that way? But going down to DC to fight against that ACA repeal was important at stake if they did succeed. I mean, people with pre-existing conditions, that in and of itself would be one reason that everybody should have ran down there. I mean, I am a Medicare for all, Bernie Sanders single payer, 100% supporter. That's where I think we should have universal health care. But repealing the ACA, pre-existing conditions would probably be one of the first things that they did. The individual mandate. There are so many things that we really had to fight for, and we were successful. And I think I was arrested twice there. And then I went back down with that same group, and when the tax scam came up, and I was arrested a few more times in DC for that. And that's where Kyle and I met. I had followed March on Harrisburg, but I had actually been arrested the first time with Kyle in DC, which was kind of interesting. So we found each other like really in DC, even though I knew he was, and Kyle's actually from New Jersey. But they're a great group of people. I did get arrested in Harrisburg in June, protesting with the Poor People's Campaign. So they were doing actions and
yes, I was there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for I think the third or fourth week, I was there participating in nonviolent civil disobedience, and I was arrested last Tuesday fighting against Kavanaugh. That whole, I mean, Adi Barkan from Be a Hero and Center for Popular Democracy called for male, cisgendered identifying men to say we need to support the women that are fighting this fight. And so I went down there specifically to stand in solidarity with the women who deserve to have a break. I mean, how many days in a row can you be arrested? But they fought so valiantly hard. Today was a very disappointing day on that front. And
it was an expected day, though, unfortunately.
It was.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, like when I saw Bernie out there with the protesters and stuff multiple times, I was like, this dude could have retired 15 years ago.
Yeah. And
he is still out there. Like, I'm just so thankful for that guy. Like,
he's amazing. Last year, I went up to his office in Dickinson, and everybody was like at an action at like Susan Collins' office or something, because we always pester her the most because, she's a woman. She should be like, but we always pester Susan Collins. It seems she gets a lot of our rage. But so I kind of snuck away and I went to go see Bernie, and I walked up and he just turned around and looked at me and goes, "What do you want?" Like he would do one of these. And I was like, I was like, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done. And I just turned around and walked away. I was like, it felt so weird. And I was like, maybe like, it feels like, I mean, and that's the thing, I mean, about lobbying, and you can go and approach a lot of these leaders and these, people in the Senate and Congress. You can approach them and you can have conversations with them. But fanboying somebody is, I didn't really have a specific issue I wanted to bring up with him. So
yeah, well, I've been within feet of him 10 times now, and like I've met him 4 times, and the first time I forgot my name, and like literally I'm like, I love you, and I worked for your campaign, and it was so bad. And then 2 weeks ago I was at his personal birthday party, so it's like,
yeah, you did go up there, didn't you? That's awesome. You were on the boat. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was pretty badass. Thank you, Real Progressives, for making people know who I am. Jane watches my show. Just gonna put
Jane, hi Jane. Yes, I think.
But enough about me. So you also something you talk about is ending the stigma of mental health. I think that's so huge, and way too many candidates don't have that separately on their platform. They talk about it with healthcare, which is fine, but I think it does need its own asterisk. and you do that. So can you explain why that's, I mean, it's kind of, I guess it is relative to opiates in the sense that treatment needs to be had. People try to just dismiss things. So can you kind of discuss why you have mental health specifically on your platform?
Well, it's in my experience, specifically for me personally, that I know that my alcoholism and addiction and my recovery is there. There is no recovery if I don't go to see a therapist every month, and I see a psychiatrist every 6 weeks, because we have addiction is a disease of the brain. So most people that I know in my experience have a lot of underlying issues. Now, not everybody does. Some people just, became physically addicted. But for me, and I know a lot of other people in recovery, we have a lot of mental health issues that are, a part of that. And most people who become addicted are self-medicating. And in my family, when I was younger, you didn't talk about I was depressed. You didn't talk about maybe I should see a therapist. Maybe I should. You didn't talk about that. You didn't. And what I realized was we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that every chance we get, and show that it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's completely normal. What I liken it to is a lot of people in early recovery, they get in, they do the meetings, or they do whatever type of therapy that is helping them maintain their recovery and their sobriety, or to stay clean. And they go to the gym and they get healthy and they look great and they take all these selfies. And I say, well, that's great. You're looking awesome. I said, but, going to a therapist is more important, because our brain was dysfunctioning when we came in, and we had tried to fix it ourselves. And none of us are usually doctors, although certainly there are doctors that are alcoholic and people that are addicted. But what we need to do is constantly work on fine-tuning our brain. And if you want to be healthy mentally, you need to see a therapist. I believe that I'll probably see a therapist for the rest of my life. And that keeps my brain healthy and functioning well, and being able to say that, even though I have suicidal ideation every once in a while, I do have diagnosed depression. And, when I get into those things, I learn from my therapist what I need to do to not stay bogged down in that. So as a person with depression, it's important to talk about that. The more you talk about that, the more you say it's not something to be ashamed of. That's how we end the stigma surrounding it. And it's so important to get into the legislature, so we make sure that it's available across the board. People right now, the waiting list to get a psychiatric appointment is months. I talked to a rape victim the other day. It took her 6 weeks to get an appointment with a therapist, and she was in recovery. And she didn't relapse or anything, but we have an issue here. We have, how many used car salespeople do we have in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, right? Maybe we should do something to maybe not sell so many cars, and maybe sell more healthier people that can function together and love each other. We're a spiritually sick society, and if we don't fix what happens up here, we will stay sick. And what we need to do is to ensure that we have enough therapists, people that can go back, like say a nurse, somebody who's an LPN. They should be able to go back. We should encourage people to go back and get additional certifications or become licensed clinical social workers, so they can diagnose and help treat people that come in with mental health issues. There's not enough. There's just so much of a shortage of professional medical staff right now. It's really very, very bad. So ending the stigma is number one, and really making sure that we have enough, qualified and licensed professionals to handle like the crisis we're in. I mean, we've just elected Donald Trump. We have a major crisis in terms of people think that that's normal. And what we say in recovery is when the abnormal becomes normal and we accept that. Like, let me tell you, like, there are some Trump voters that will never, ever change, okay? But there are some that can. I think, by and large, a lot of them can. And like what happens to an alcoholic is what the abnormal becomes normal. And I think the same kind of thinking happens with people who are racist. They have abnormal thinking. Same type of people who voted for Trump and think that his chauvinistic, misogynistic, sexist, unethical, immoral way of being and his behavior is normal. It's not. It's abnormal. And until we really recognize that as a society and a culture and do something about that, we're fucked. Excuse my language. But that's really the where we're at right now. So
yeah, absolutely. You also talk about the environment, Green New Deal. You're against fracking, and something that's so interesting. I found out while I was protesting DAPL and going to pipeline sites in Conestoga, PA, which is outside of Lancaster. I found out that we are actually next to Texas. We're the second. We have the second most amount of pipelines in the entire United States. Pennsylvania, which is just so. I didn't know it was that bad. It's really incredible. And even in Philly area too. I have friends who I'm from Philly, actually. I moved here from Philly, but so I have friends down there who are always sending me stuff like, look at this picture of our water and stuff, and it's just abhorrent.
Yeah.
So what are some other things besides fracking and pipelines? What do you hope to see?
Well, what I think can happen, and I've talked to, and I agree. I mean, I sat down with the Sierra Club, and I thought, based on my activism, that I had that lined up, their endorsement. But no, they were like, no, you need to know your bills, and you need to know everything.
Oh.
Like, and they're right. I mean, there's a lot of legislation in the Commonwealth right now that is certainly geared towards helping the environment, but there's so much that is anti-environment. It's like we're fighting on all fronts, right? With so many issues. And with the environment, it really is like, what's the biggest issue? And the biggest issue is taking, we're addicted to the fossil fuel money. We're addicted to the fossil fuel industry. And changing this way of thinking and this reliance on the fossil fuel industry over time. I talked to somebody who worked for ConocoPhillips the other day, and they had a big high-up meeting, and they're starting to get it because their reliance on their saying was we service people and provide energy to the world or something like that. But what that person in leadership running that seminar meeting that day said, there's more energy than just fossil fuels available. And that's what we need to do to the fossil fuel industry, to say, listen, we think you're terrible and abhorrent and you're polluting and poisoning us all, but why don't you come with us and become solarized? Why don't you, become leaders in changing over this infrastructure that you're so used to? And we need to do that. We need to push them on that. We need to lobby on that. We need to, I'm a member of Earthquaker Action Team. They've been doing a 3+ year action against PICO, requiring them to solarize and telling them not to put a natural gas plant. That's SEPTA trying to put a natural. But I mean, they're working on all these fronts locally. But we need to tell these people, and I've talked to people in and unions that are like, well, that's my livelihood, repairing that infrastructure, repairing those pipes. That's how I feed my family. Well, that's fine. Why don't we try and move away from that? And then you can start fixing the photogenic solar panel. Just because you do one task now doesn't mean that you can't do a similar task on another infrastructure means that provides energy. And what we need to do is just really keep on task to these big energy companies to make sure that they come with us into the future. And I think they're starting to get it, but I mean, that's really what happened. I mean, like, it's devastating in Pennsylvania. I just read today that the Atlantic Sunrise is going to go forth. I mean, and it sucks. It really does suck. I mean, I'd much rather be down there chaining myself to a pipe than running for office, honestly.
And why do they give it such a beautiful name? Atlantic Sunrise. It's like, no, not really. That's not what you should call it.
Kristen Seal is running in the 168th.
I had her on. Yeah, she's amazing.
She's a great candidate, and she's done a lot in terms of bringing Mariner East issues in terms of, how these, like, look what happened to DAPL. Look what happened in Stanley. I mean, they did anything they wanted to do, right? Anything, and almost got away with it. And they do the same thing everywhere they go. They get around laws. They don't have to do, like the one issue that she brought up was they were like 8 feet or 4 feet off of a measurement, which if there had been active fuel going through the pipeline and it blew up and there was people would have been killed. And
especially think about like disabled people. Like, how are they going to be able to run? Or, in Conestoga, PA, outside of Lancaster, they're building a pipeline underneath a school.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It is.
There's no regulations. They can build them right on people's property without any approval. It's incredible. I know as a homeowner, if somebody tried to like build a pipeline on my property and I couldn't say no, it's incredible.
Well, where I am right now in Bucks County, it's an issue here. And right now they're trying to figure out if they're going to go on the Jersey side of the Delaware, or come in and like make this crazy wraparound across to reconnect back into New Jersey, come over, bring the pipeline over the Delaware, and go west into Bucks County, then south, then back east to go back over to Jersey, because there is protected land that they can't go in. So they're like, well, how are we going to get around this? And they literally are going over a river into another state to go back over the river. I mean, and they'll do whatever it takes to get their precious, oil or gas to where it needs to go. And it is really frightening. It is that they have that much power.
Absolutely. You also, like, pretty much every progressive candidate in the universe talks about increasing the minimum wage. There is a huge, Fight for 15 movement. We saw that with Bernie this week. He's had Whole Foods, Amazon, and Disney all go up to 15. Granted, a lot of people are right when they say that that's not enough. However, I'll be damned if that's not a good start. So what our minimum wage is what, like $7.25 or something?
Terrible. And there's like really no big movement right now to even, it's disgusting. And then like there has been some bills passed. There have been bills presented that would raise it to 12. Like just make it 15. And and this is the wealthiest 1%, the wealthiest among us, saying that, well, I'm not gonna be able to afford this or that and the other thing. Well, it's like, well, guess what? What's the moral and ethically right thing to do? Maybe, give your employees a couple more dollars a week. That might be nice, you know, a nice good start, you know, and like and that's the thing. I mean, it's ridiculous that we have to even fight. I mean, it's unbelievable that we even have these discussions right now. Half of these discussions like drive me nuts because like we shouldn't even be talking about it. They should just pass, you know.
Rob, he's one of our teammates. He has a question. Are you for a federal job guarantee?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. We believe that some Nordic countries do have that. I guess Sweden maybe, or Iceland. I think Iceland. And I think it's something where I would have to look at more because it's like, what's the guaranteed job? Like, what are the jobs? I mean, so sure. I mean, I think that should be something that we look into. I mean, I think, you know, like I said earlier, we have so many fights going on so many different fronts that it's something that we need to get progressives in all offices. And then we can bring up these more progressive issues. And then we won't have to worry about even submitting them or getting, you know, co-sponsors, or, you know, we'll actually be able to pass the legislation. So do I like it? I think it's a good idea. Yeah.
It's really the best way we could get a Green New Deal, and the soonest way, because it basically they guarantee anyone who wants to work a job.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically, you know, oh, now we have these people we have to provide jobs for. Oh, wait, what about all this? Let's rebuild our infrastructure and things like that. So it would just be phenomenal. It would change lives.
Yeah, and I saw a comment earlier about somebody had said that, you know, we spend endless amounts on war, and that's the truth. Like, you know, we can justify having a Green New Deal and having a federal guarantee on jobs, especially incorporating the Green New Deal to change over our infrastructure from one that relies on fossil fuels to one that relies on renewable energies. That is the perfect. It's the summation of what all that works together so beautifully. It does, because it's the right thing to do for everybody. And, you know, I heard today on NPR yesterday that there are so many jobs, or there's more job available than people that are unemployed. But a lot of those jobs are specialized jobs that people can't all do. I think that, you know, we could definitely allow for people from all walks of life, from all abilities, to be able to work and contribute to society if we do institute something like that.
Absolutely. And that's another great thing about the federal job guarantee. Since they would be creating jobs for people who want them, we would be able to have, you know, paying jobs in like social services, and, you know, 501c3s can actually be like jobs and things like that.
Yeah, like that, just like volunteering, and I can't even buy a cup of coffee from McDonald's.
It, you know, and that's so interesting because us at Real Progressives, we work full time. We don't get a dime for this. Yep. I mean, we all work.
I hear you.
10 hours a week easily. I do 3 plus shows a week, and I don't get a dime. So,
well, I hope your Patron count gets a little bit of something. You know.
We get a few dollars, but the downside is by the time you pay the fees to like have the website and stuff like that, none of us personally see any of that, you know, which is fine. Yeah. I'm not complaining. It's just a lot of people think they're like, oh, I'm sure you make good money at this. What are you talking about? I work full time.
Look at like Jordan Sheridan, right? And you know, a lot of the people who went out, Democracy Now! I mean, there's a lot of other really progressive, independent news sources. Ed Higgins, love Ed Higgins. Do you know Ed?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, these are all like, you know, dapple people, standing around people kind of too. But you know, they went, like a lot of us, we all risked things and spent our own money, and because we knew that, you know, the people in Philadelphia or in Bucks County or in my little circle of the world, they didn't know what was happening at DAPL, you know. And when I went there, I was able to like kind of say, hey, this is what's happening, and this is what's happening in Standing Rock. This is what's happening to the Lakota people, and it was terrible, you know. And it was great that we're all able to share that, because sometimes we do find ourselves in bubbles, but we do have periphery people that are kind of interested in some of these progressive issues. Like I found that when everything was happening at Standing Rock, I found a lot of people who ended up voting for Trump.
Uh-oh. If you can hear me, Michael, can you just log out and log back in? You froze. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. He's on a volunteers community, a volunteers laptop in their community. He'll be back in a second. He's going to log back in. There we go.
Oh,
there you are. So, and your opponent I think I already know the answer to this because it's always the same answer with everyone. But do you think your opponent's going to debate you?
Usually it's going to be interesting. There's two wards that make up our district, and there's the Roosevelt Boulevard that kind of like intersects both these wards. So the 58th ward includes this neighborhood called Somerton, and they have this page, and they have a couple young guys that are like, you know, like they like, you know, if somebody reports somebody suspicious, they'll go find out what's going on. Is this guy, you know, a pedophile or whatever? And sometimes they're a little vigilante, but you know, they're looking out for the community for the most part. And they all are kind of like a town watch type thing. But there's a lot of people like to have fun and a lot of tongue in cheek and stuff like that. And so they had asked my opponent to be on a live feed similar to this. And her campaign manager said, well, you're not professional enough. And, I'm sorry. Well, we don't think that's a good use of her time. They asked twice over like a couple months, and you know, same answer. Well, he reached out to me, and I said, yeah, absolutely, immediately. You know, I'm not afraid. I've had to deal with much bigger issues in my life than some people calling me a communist. Like, I don't, you know, whatever. It is what it is. So that's going to be interesting tomorrow night. Getting it from them, but their civic association usually hosts the debate. So she has no, you know, I would love to debate her because I have nothing to lose and she has everything to lose. And, you know, it would be very interesting. So I hope that they invite both of us to a debate, and I'll show up, absolutely. But I don't know if she will. I'm sure.
If it is live streamed, send it to me, and I will. Oh man, I'll put that shit on blast.
Okay, I will definitely.
What do you say to people? Because we're all kind of in this place where we get so we feel so defeated, and we get so, you know, just so down and so brokenhearted with the state of everything, and then especially, you know, those of us who were just totally ripped off by the DNC, you know, we're like, does our vote count? What's the point? So what do you say to people to actually convince them that, no, please vote? Like, it is going to make a difference.
You know, I was in a similar position in 2016. You know, and we were going to Arizona, we were going to Ireland, and we were doing absentee ballots for the first time, and I was, you know, I'm a Bernie bro. I was really upset. I was pissed off. I was going to change and let me tell you, regardless of the outcome of this race, I'm very likely to change my registration to independent, just seeing the horrific way that the party operates. I tell you, I wouldn't wish running for office as an underdog in the city of Philadelphia to my worst enemy. That being said, we all have to vote. I might not be happy with my choice, but I know that at the end of the day, voting is just one part of it, and it's an important part of that. And if everybody did vote and we had a true representative democracy where every vote counts, we wouldn't be sitting here today, probably even talking about this, because common sense and reasoning probably would prevail. But I think apathy is just that's the problem of being a spiritually sick society and culture, that we're bankrupt. And, when we can accept a man who received $400 million from his father and
a small loan,
declared bankruptcy 6 times, and say that he's a financial genius is, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's the glorification of money. And, but I think everybody, the power in that one vote in that booth across, like, look what Bernie did in terms of raising money, right? I thought maybe I would have some type of opportunity like that too, but that's not, not everybody's Bernie Sanders. And that's the first thing you learn as a progressive candidate. I was very grateful to receive the endorsement of both progressives, of Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and when they talk to you, they're like, nobody hears Bernie Sanders. You're gonna have to get on the phone and call and make the money. And but that's the problem. I mean, we shouldn't have to be on the phone all day long trying to get people to give us $100, $200, or $50, or can I have $3? Like, if 10,000 people gave me $1, I would have 10,000 more dollars. I mean, $1 is not that much to ask, and there are 10,000 progressives in the state of Pennsylvania. Why getting $1 from 10,000 people is so difficult? It's because the way politics is you're running not just against your opponent, you're running against all of the other people that are running. And so and everybody's competing for the same resources, and it's very difficult. It's difficult to stand out, and what they want to know. Here's the reality of politics is, it's very similar to our society and poverty. If you're rich and you have a lot of money in our society, you have privilege. You get to do whatever you want. You get to do a lot of things. The same thing with a candidate who's well-funded and viable. They get more money, and it's just like a vacuum, or it's like they're a magnet, and it just keeps coming to them. If you're poor in our society, you don't get to have the same privileges. You don't get to have the same thing. When you're a candidate and you have a little money, like I've raised $40,000, and none of that has come from. I mean, I've had Flippable and Every District help. Thank you very much to both of those PACs. But everything else has been family and friends and Sphere, and that's not enough. It's not enough. It's totally not enough.
Wow. That is impressive, though. I gotta say, most of my candidates are like, I've made like 7,000 and stuff. Like that is impressive. It really is.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of different. It depends what part of the state you're on and all this.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, but in the Philly metro market, I mean, it's nothing. And then what happens is when you're at that level, the people write you off. They don't care. They don't care that that you're running because you don't want to see people die in your district. They want to put money to a winning horse, and that's capitalism.
And how's that going for us right now?
Exactly. If we had a socialist a country or a socialist approach to politics, the money would be evenly distributed to all the candidates, and we'd all have an equal level playing field. But the problem is, Citizens United destroyed that opportunity. Literally, the most disgusting thing ever happened to our country was that Supreme Court, and that's that is just it's disgusting that actually happened. And here we are, $40,000 don't do shit for you.
Wow. Well, if you want to leave our viewers with a final thought, what do you want to leave them with so that they, can throw you a few dollars or share this stream or recommend you to people in PA?
Yeah, definitely. Mike Doyle for FORPA.com is my website. Feel free to go on there. I think it's on the banner image. And then, I'll take $2.27. I don't care. I'll take a penny. I don't really care. Every bit helps. I'll gladly take thousands of dollars to it. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. I have a staff to pay. I have lit to buy. I would like to do a mailer or two. But I have to pay canvassers too. There's a lot of money that goes into running a campaign. But what I would say to everybody would be vote. Your power is in the booth, and it's not just a bullshit sham thing. The more that we vote together, the people that aren't the 1%, the people who care about, good progressive values, those are the people that can help institute change. And go knock on a door for somebody, anybody who is not a Republican. Just knock on a door, even if they're a corporate Democrat at this point. Who cares? Just we need to get the Republicans out. But you can easily find a progressive Democrat in Northeast Philadelphia, and you can drive there.
Oh yeah.
Knock on doors for me too. Yeah. But knock on a couple doors. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. People are very nice, and at this point in time in anybody's campaign, it's going to be a supportive base knock. It's not going to be a persuasion knock. You're not going to knock on some Trumper's door. Most of the people are going to be very hardcore Democrats that you're going to be knocking on, probably. And that's pretty much it.
Right on. Mark, my buddy from RP, he said he wants your bumper sticker to say, "I'm not that Mike Doyle."
I'm not that Mike Doyle. Yeah, I should. You know what? I'm going to call time. I'm going to call that Mike Doyle, and I'm going to ask him for $10,000. See what he says. You don't give me 5,000. Who knows? Good idea.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Michael. You are awesome. I love your energy. I wish you the absolute best. I want everyone watching to please, acknowledge and share with their friends that a lot of voter registrations have to be done in the next few days.
Yes.
In all states. Especially in New York, I know is in 5 days, and they have the most jacked up. I mean, I thought PA was bad, but New York has jacked up rules. So even if you don't know who you're going to vote for, or even if you don't know if you're going to vote, definitely register. Get your name in that system to be registered, because if you miss that date, sorry, you're not voting. So at least get registered. For the general, party doesn't mean anything. I'm a proud independent, and I get to keep it that way, which is exciting.
Yes.
In a closed state.
God bless you. All you independents definitely get to vote. And I'd like to, votespa.com if you're in Pennsylvania, votespa.com. And Allison Glickman, I could thank her for letting me use her laptop and button machine. And Allison was great. She actually hosted an event for Fetterman when he came in early on. So she's a really big supporter of progressive.
Funny enough, I had Fetterman on the night before we voted in May. Wow. Yeah, it was like 11 at night, and he went to the polls at 7 the next morning.
Oh, that's cool. You were last person that I talk to.
Yeah, I was like, I hope I do a good job because I think a lot of our voters are watching right now. So,
Well, Savage Joy, it was a pleasure to meet. I can't wait to meet you in person. You're awesome energy.
oh yeah, absolutely. Next time you come in Harrisburg, you better hit me up.
I definitely will. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Joy.
Absolutely.
Thanks to everybody for watching.
I definitely encourage you to read the comments afterwards because there's a lot of nice comments in there. Yeah. Also, you guys, you definitely don't want to miss my show Wednesday. I have 2 PA Democratic Socialist candidates, Sarah Imarato and Summer Lee.
Yes.
Those are awesome. Yeah, I've had Sarah before, but I'm so excited to have her and Summer. They whooped the asses off of the
they did
establishment entrenched douche canoes that they were running against, and they have been making waves all across the country. So it should be an amazing show. I'm super hyped for that.
Awesome, so, awesome.
Again, thank you so much, Michael. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you very much, Joy. Take care. Have a good night.
Too.
Bye.